Shuttle has landed.
Go and throttle up.
Yo, welcome everybody to the Nerd Ledger. We are your hosts. I'm Kaje, that's Chair. We are back again.
Chair.
For another...
On the chair.
Yeah, you're the chair.
I'm the chair.
Yeah.
Executive chair.
We're back again every Wednesday live on Twitch, 5:30, and then post the VOD obviously to YouTube, and then all the audio to all the podcast platforms, and all that good stuff.
My phone's alive.
Your phone's alive.
Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes it goes just into a... Sorry to interrupt everybody, to fill you in really quickly. I thought my phone had died because sometimes it just randomly black screens for no reason, and it's unresponsive. And I did the hard reset where you hold down the buttons and stuff. And
And it's working?
And now it reset itself and the logo came back up. So I don't know why that sometimes it just gets a random black screen and just won't respond at all. It's like it had a hard system crash. So
yeah,
it's a really weird thing.
That is not a good time.
Yeah.
Anyway, how's it going?
Oh, I'm okay. Today was really like I told you earlier before. For those of you that don't know, I work at a dog shelter. I don't work at a dog shelter. I apologize. I volunteer at a dog shelter. And it's sorry, someone left me a voicemail that I need to listen to. But I work at man, I got so many things going on. My phone's back up. Let me finish talking to you real quick, and then I'll let you talk about your day.
Yeah.
So I volunteer at a dog shelter. It was really rough today. A lot of dog shelters are going through brutal realities. I just read an article today and shared it. Let everybody know. But apparently, it did a poll of dog owners, and 1 out of every 6 people that responded said that they had to let go or abandon their dog to a public shelter across the United States. So that's like a lot of dogs.
And again, the number of people who return dogs to the shelter after adopting them is way higher than that. So
yeah, but new dogs entering the system, it just keeps getting worse. And and I see that every day when I volunteer, and I'm proud to volunteer there. But still, some days, like today is the first day I had to go somewhere and cry, in private. So it's just
it's tough.
It is tough. It's not
tough,
easy.
And it's tough for
dogs
everyone too across the board.
Dogs love being alive, and they're so joyful. I look back at my dog right now, and she's just rolling around on this freaking bed, having the time of her life. And it's rough when they got to make those really difficult decisions. And I'm not even the one doing the deed. And so I think honestly that permanently traumatizes you for the rest of your life. There's no way it couldn't. And it's
It traumatizes the dog too.
It's gone forever though. And
yeah.
Just it's really rough right now. So if you know someone who works at a shelter, buy them a beer. That's all I gotta say. All right. Now, how's your day? I'm gonna listen to this voicemail. Not that I don't care, but I'm sure our viewers care more.
I'll talk about something boring, and then when you come back, I'll talk about something that you might have some insight on. But yeah.
I gotta call my uncle really quick because I'm supposed to be going with him to Yosemite tomorrow, so I'm gonna mute and deaf myself. But also, I respect you as a human being and validate all of your experiences. Okay, thanks. Bye.
Sounds good. Yeah, anyway, so for anybody who it maybe gets bored by this kind of stuff, you can always just skip ahead. We're going to be talking about Ahsoka episode 6 later on in this podcast. I don't know how much further on, just skip ahead maybe 5-10 minutes. That's a fair estimate. But yeah, this past weekend, I went to a work event, which was cool. People have different opinions on things like this where it's a weekend where I wouldn't be working. I mean, I'm salary, so I work, as I want on weekends, without much repercussions from my managers. But it's some people feel we already work so much on our own time. Oh, you're back already?
Yeah.
All right.
He didn't pick up the call, so he may call back within the next couple of minutes. In which case, but I'm here to actively listen to your story now and validate. And continue to validate our friendship.
Yeah. I was just saying, I went to a work event over the weekend, and some people feel like they work so much on their own time already, they hate feeling obligated to go to work events on the weekends and stuff.
Well, it depends if there's free food.
Well, there was free food. It wasn't very much. It was so little that afterward my wife wanted to get more food because she was very hungry, and we both hadn't really eaten all day. I was okay with it because I don't really need to eat. I eat too much sometimes. So we ended up walking.
You and me both, brother.
We ended up walking to McDonald's at 11 at night in San Francisco.
How was that?
Well, there were a lot of homeless people, as you would expect.
Mm,
I got a sweet tea because I like sweet tea, but I didn't get food because I still haven't eaten anything from McDonald's in over a year, which
mm,
is pretty cool for me. If you know any, I mean, I used to eat a lot of McDonald's, so
yeah.
um, yeah. Uh, but yeah, it was cool. It's always good to like meet people and like uh socialize sometimes. Like it can be a little too much for me because socialization is scary. um and then like I met the president of the company I work for the first time. Like I've seen her before, but I never actually like spoke with her.
Mm.
And I was surprised to learn that she already knew who I was.
Awesome. That's a good thing.
Yeah,
That's
but
a really good thing.
yeah, the our senior director of marketing was at my table where I sat for the event, and had even told her like, oh, you have to see Christian suit. Oh shit, I said my real name. Oh well, you guys already know who I am. Whatever.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, you have to see his suit, like. And so she came over. She's like, oh, can I touch it and all this stuff? And I was like, oh yeah. And I was like, oh, I work for you, because like not everybody from my company was there. Like there was other companies there as well. Like it's
Yeah.
us and like one or two other companies, and then the charity itself we were there for.
Hmm.
And so I was like, oh, I work for you, and she was like, I know. And I was like, oh, all right. I was like, that's cool, I guess.
Yeah, no, that's
uh,
great. To well, obviously, like, when there's quarterly, they have quarterly reports and stuff like that, and they pull up your like, face or like whatever. I'm sure they have some headshot of you that they took when you
that,
started at the company. Most companies usually do something like that, right? Like, you have like an
not
ID or
really.
anything to get into the
Yeah,
building,
yeah, I have a
or
badge.
yeah.
And yeah, they did do photos at one point for it, but I don't know where those live and stuff. Like, I don't have any pictures on my like my email or anything.
Oh,
So,
well,
but yeah, but yeah, that was pretty interesting. And it's like good to get away for the night, but it was like hard because like we left our doggo with a family member, and we like she sent us a picture, and he's just like sitting on the couch staring at the door waiting for us to come home.
yep.
But yeah, so but it is cool. They pay for you to be in the hotel and stuff, so it's free.
Exactly, bro. That's the most important thing. Like, not wanting to go to work events where the company doesn't try to actively suck your dick is not worth going to. Okay.
Yeah,
Like,
well,
they
it's not the
got like at
company; it's
least.
a vendor sponsored. So
Oh, well, either way. Okay, okay. So,
yeah,
it doesn't even fall back on the company. So,
yeah.
like, you got to get the hotel stay, you got to get the free food, you got to get the free drink. Like, even if it's not alcoholic, like if
No,
they
it was
give you
it was
free,
open bar for everyone, but
oh, damn,
I drank
dude.
two Pepsis.
Awesome, fantastic. Exactly, bro. So, see, I consider getting soda at an event to be actually being treated well because, like,
Yeah,
especially, but no, but only if it's a name brand soda, not if they give you that fucking off-brand Safeway Select shit. I'm like, you,
Shasta or
no,
even
Shasta's its own thing though. It's not exactly like,
yeah,
Safeway Select. Shasta's like, it was like a brand. It used to be really big, but now like, Coca-Cola took over. So,
well,
but
I mean, well, yeah, 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 yeah. I know what you mean, but yeah,
RC Cola, which is another thing, is actually I actually like RC Cola. I think it has a unique taste to it because it's like in the middle ground between the sweetness of like how Pepsi's a lot more sweeter and Coca-Cola is like a little bit more bitter. It's like kind of in that
mm,
middle ground. So,
yeah. Well, like it's funny because like I knew like some people. Like I knew people would point out my suit that I was wearing because like
mm,
it stands out, right? Like it's not like a normal black. Everything's black or everything's blue, and like with a white shirt. Like I had a white shirt, but like like so I knew I'd get some people talking about my suit, but like it was literally like everybody. Every single person I spoke with was like, "Oh my god, you look so good. I love your suit." Like, "Oh,
stand
it's
out,
like
brother. Hell yeah.
unique," and like yeah, and like people would
You're
like
gonna
come
be
up.
CEO in 10 years, brother. Keep
No,
on
never,
keeping
never that.
on. You never know.
But
Never say never.
like it's something that like I do pride myself on is like I feel like I have a good sense of fashion these days, where I used to
Mm,
never have a good sense of fashion. Like my fashion used to be really bad. Like again, I used to wear all like one color for superhero themed every day. But yeah,
mm.
anyway. So there's that. But something really irritated me yesterday.
Go ahead.
And again, if anybody doesn't want to hear me rant for like 5 minutes, then you can skip ahead. But it has to do with realtors, which you are one.
Yep.
It has to do with the housing market and kind of the
Yeah.
economy as a whole. It's not political in any way. I'm not talking about anything with politics.
Mm,
Um, and this like even today it made me more irritated because there was a report that came out that the interest rates are gonna stay the same. They're not going up. They're not going down.
Oh yeah, we've been in this shitty holding pattern for a year and a half. It is
Yeah.
driving everybody insane.
Well, it's gone
Trust
up.
me.
It's gone up 11 times in the past year and a half. So,
Yeah.
yeah, and again, like if you look at things in the big picture, like historically, where when I say historically, I'm talking about like the past maybe 100 years. Like
Yep.
rates are still historically low, but they're the highest they've been in the past 22 years, which is more important to me.
Yeah. Well, no,
Um,
and also just the affordability index, like, just the money comparison and everything like that based on inflation and everything like that. These houses are really expensive because of the basic economic fact that there's not that many of them to go around right now. In
right.
my and in between Antioch, Brentwood, and Oakley, there's only 300 houses for sale. That's not a good thing. Like, Brentwood should have 300 houses just on its own. We're supposed to be a growing community with new subdevelopments, but they can't develop anything, and it's wild.
Right,
But
which
please
is
continue.
why you could argue, like in some ways, that like people aren't really buying houses anymore, like to the degree
Mhm.
they were, right? In a lot of aspects, like like the market is slowing down,
Mhm.
but that doesn't equate to what. So for anybody who doesn't know, my wife and I had looked for a house previously. Like we started looking like 3 or 4 years ago, and we almost had one which would have been really good at the time, but we made a different decision together to support some, help support and that, for a different living arrangement. And so that we made that choice, and we have to live with that, right?
Yeah.
And so we started looking again like this past year, and like even then is like can we really afford it kind of thing, and whatever. And then we started renting this place, so we're in a year lease, so we're like, what, we're not looking right now. And we told the realtor who was helping us, like, we're gonna just be renting for a little bit. And she emailed my wife yesterday and said it's a buyer's market now. That's crazy. It's a buyer's market now, and her reasoning is that she's been getting concessions from sellers.
Yeah.
Okay, and I get it. Your job as a realtor is to sell houses to make money,
Yeah.
but
Well,
lying
yeah.
to people is fucked up,
Yeah.
right?
No, there's no doubt about it that there's an excess of marketing like that goes on in this industry. Like for me personally, I personally don't consider it a sales job at all. I consider it more of a law job because most of the time you're just trying to make the buyer, trying to stop the buyer and seller from suing each other's pants off over tiny minute things. What happens happened a lot. Used to happen a lot. Is that
Yeah,
people start suing each other over stupid stuff, or they would discover a loose floorboard like 4 months after the purchase of the property, and they would go insane. Um, so
yeah,
and we make sure all the inspections and everything like that get done too. That's why I don't take people's I give people my business card. I don't ask for their emails or their phone numbers because to me personally, honestly, if they're gonna buy a house, they're gonna they're gonna buy a house. You can't really it's really hard to press that email. Like it just pisses people off is what I'm saying. You
yeah,
can't
yeah.
press someone into
It's
buying a
annoying.
house. It is really annoying. And she probably just put your email and your stuff and fed it into some automatic drip, which types up some dumb little campaigns that is totally out of touch. That's another huge problem. As a lot of people's customers, your CRM, customer relationship management systems, they're like the emails they send out are like just completely out of touch because they're just trying to encourage you to buy.
Well, of
They
course.
don't reflect the realities of what people are dealing with right now.
Yeah, but it's much
And
different when you get like something from a grocery store saying, "Hey, come buy some produce that's discounted," and someone
yeah,
saying, "Hey, it's a perfect time to buy a house where interest rates are at a 22-year high, and
yeah,
also house prices are at an incredible high. Hey, by the way, you see this $450,000 house that's missing floorboards? Yeah, why don't
yeah,
you buy that, motherfucker? You know what we've told you we're comfortable paying per month, and the only
yeah,
thing we could afford right now is something that's $300,000 or less."
yeah.
And those are all shit.
Yeah, it's a total, what you're talking about is
Like,
a total
bro,
flip. Usually
three
what
hundred
happens is,
thousand dollar houses are houses that have been through fires in
yeah,
California, like,
yeah,
or are missing entire like frameworks and shit. Like, what do you expect from us? Like,
yeah,
if
like
interest
total
rates go back
flips.
to 2%, maybe we can fucking talk.
Yeah,
But
yeah. And those houses are good opportunities for people that that are much more handy. That's always a good
yeah,
thing about
but you
that.
also
But the
need money
problem,
to put into that too.
yeah, that's
Right.
true. Especially with lumber
If you
costs, what
can,
they were.
like, I'll put this into perspective for people, right? For a house that's $300,000 if you do like 5% down, you're looking at like a $2,600 monthly payment.
Yeah.
Most people can't fucking afford that still. Like,
Yeah,
that's
for sure.
crazy. That for a house that needs work, and if you're struggling to pay your mortgage, you don't have money to put work into it.
Yeah,
Like, that's
exactly.
just the reality. And like,
Yeah.
it fucking is annoying and it sucks. And it's like, you know, you look at again the economy as a whole. Gas is $5.50 a gallon here. Like, there's no getting around that. Like, you're losing money
I thought
actively.
thought it was higher. I thought it was higher over there. Like, because my
Uh,
sister right now, she's dealing with $6 in LA.
well, that's LA. I mean, Sacramento. I
Yeah.
mean, the cheap gas, which is like Arco, is like $5.30 a gallon, right?
Yeah.
If you're going to Shell or Chevron, yeah, you're going to be paying close to $6 for regular gas, like a gallon. Food is more expensive everywhere, and again, we live in California, so we deal with laws and requirements like the new Prop 12 on pork
Mm.
that makes everything go up, right?
Yeah.
Like, this is just how it is, and
Yeah. Like if I eat out now, like I'm just at bare minimum spending $18. Like it's because it's
bro,
just
it's
how expensive. Like
crazy. It used to be
yeah,
like,
it is.
I'd go to Taco Bell, I'd spend like $8 for a full everything I need. Now it's like $30 almost.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
fucking
Yeah.
insane, man. Like,
And McDonald's isn't any better. Like,
no,
what I
no,
used
no.
to get, was 8.89. Like, I
Yeah.
get the same freaking meal. I get a triple cheeseburger, ketchup only, McChicken plain, small fry, large Coke, and two chocolate chip cookies sometimes if I was feeling adventurous. But because the chocolate chip cookies are fresh baked and they taste really, really good at McDonald's. If you ever had the chocolate chip cookies before, you should try them.
Hmm.
Sorry, not I'm trying not to like expose you or anything like that. I know
No,
this
it's
is like
alright.
exposure therapy. Not trying to get you back on. Want to stay on that wagon, brother. But that meal was like for a long time it was 8.89. What is it, Doug? And now it's like 14.50. It's just wild. And like when I get more, that's my like late night meal now. But I usually get is like a double quarter pounder because I just want a good burger. And the double quarter pounder still tastes really good. But it's still like it's $16 now for a medium meal, and then when you up it to a large, it's like 17.50. It's wild.
Yeah, bro. I used to
It
get
like I
So
could go to a regular restaurant, like a norm. That's what I was thinking the other day. That's why I started eating. That's why I've been losing a lot of weight, like probably in the last 3 or 4 weeks, is because I just stopped it. Like, I just go to like
yeah,
regular restaurants now, like mom and pop shops, because I'm gonna be paying the same amount anyway. So what's the point? Like, when you go to fast food, it's usually a little bit cheaper. So usually like, why you do that kind of
bro.
stuff.
It's usually way cheaper.
But now
Like,
the mom and pop stores are the exact same price. So now I'm getting just tacos all the time, like at all these Mexican places out here that are fantastic.
but yeah, because it used to be right. Like at Taco Bell, they have these little chicken chipotle melts, right?
Yeah,
And they used to
they
be a
still have them.
dollar. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. They still have them. They still have them. They used to be a
they're like
dollar.
180. They're 189 now, right?
270.
Ooh,
Almost triple the price.
I think I got 3 of those the other day.
Bro, I get 7. Imagine that.
Holy
My
shit.
my thing used to be $7. Now it's 21. And then I get sides of nacho cheese sauce to dip it in. They used to be 60 cents each. Now they're a dollar something each. Like,
Yeah.
it's insane. Like, it seems so like incremental, and for a business it is incremental, but like it's huge for consumers. And like
Mhm.
that's the thing, is like everything is so much more expensive. So when you layer that on to house prices and interest rates, and then you try to tell me we can afford something we can't afford, it's really fucking irritating.
Yeah,
So
no, no, and you're talking to the just about the speaking like, about the broader economy for sure. Like getting harassed with a realtor encouraging you to buy and telling you things are affordable and they're clearly not, and they also don't know your own situation. It's shitty. And like
well, except they
things
do
are
know
just
our situation because
yeah.
we told them before,
Well,
right?
again, like, it was just like I really feel like they sent something through via their CRM. Like, it's
Yeah.
like where the CRM again. The only articles I follow on this like the on my CRM KV Core, which is like the one most popular, like the one best used, is like it's just really popular. Remax paid for all their agents to have access to it. I only checked I read they let you pre-read the articles, like, and the only ones that are like just not straight up lies and like telling you encouraging people to like buy when they shouldn't is just the architecture and like interior home design and stuff. So I just now my Facebook
Yeah.
page automatically posts a bunch of quirky little architecture stuff all the time. It's great.
It's
So
it's funny because like it doesn't irritate me necessarily for me, because I understand how these things work.
mhm.
But like, it irritates me for the people who don't know and who get
Yeah,
taken advantage of and get in over their heads and like ruin their whole life because they believed that they try to say, well, interest rates are high now, but they'll drop, and then you can refinance. Motherfucker, if you read again whatever the Fed said today, they're not going down. They're gonna look at it again, and the only option is stay the same or go up.
And
Like,
what a lot of realtors who live on planet Earth are really worried about right now is if the rates start going down, that the recovery of the inventory, like inventory is just going to flatline, which is something we've never ever seen before in this market. So we'd be in like never like in the 300 years of like beads being traded and sold has never happened when there's absolutely nothing like available to buy, and then you start having this surplus of buyers, and then things get really weird really fast. I wouldn't even know how that market would work. So like,
yeah,
it's just and of course the things that would go up would be outrageously expensive because of just the basic, what's that? You're the guy who works in business.
yep,
The supply and demand, whatever.
yep,
Excessive demand and low supply leads to high prices. It's basics at this point.
yeah.
And we're just in a squirrely wild world right now. There's no doubt about that. Every time I watch my president speak and watch him stumble through a sentence, and like when he was speaking at the UN today, like it feels like I try not to think this way, but like it feels like embarrassing. When you see this old dude like scrolling through this freaking he can't talk. Like he can't give more than three sentences without like extremely losing breath. It's sad. Like, dude, why can't someone tell him it's time to retire?
I mean, the same reason Mitch McConnell hasn't retired.
Yeah,
I
or
mean,
freaking Madeline,
yeah.
who's lost legal, she lost legal, her power of attorney was given to her daughter, and she's a
Oh, Madeline
senator.
Albright.
No, Dianne Feinstein.
Oh, yeah.
Wild, dude.
Yeah, I mean It's just
It's it's like the something's gonna break soon, and
well, yeah.
when I say break, I mean like there will be our day like day to day will be interrupted by some like dramatic event. That's what I think is gonna
Well, I
happen,
mean,
kind of
it's
like what happened in
crazy. Like,
COVID
I talked to
with co.
somebody recently, and like it's someone who I regard as really intelligent, and like he had asked me about the economy, and I said, yeah, it's gonna get worse, and it's gonna continue to get worse, especially like
Yeah,
the first part of next year. It's gonna be really bad for a lot of people. And he's
yeah,
like, really, you think that? I'm like, bro, we can see it. We see it happening every day. Like, shit is
yeah.
not easy for people. People are at risk of losing everything just because they might miss a paycheck. Like,
Yeah.
it's
Or
crazy. Like,
every time I see someone broken down now at the side of the road, they look so stressed and upset. And it's
yeah,
because I probably know, but they can't afford like the 600 or $700 fix that everyone's going to be for their fucking car.
bro, and
And
it's
it's their
and
only
it's
method of being
tough.
able to get to work.
Yeah.
What did that person say? Please continue.
No, I mean he didn't really like expand much else. Like, but it's just like he seemed to not really think that like the economy was getting worse because he's like, do you think we're in a recession or like we're gonna be in a recession? I said we're already in a recession, and he's like,
Mm,
oh well, because of the definition. And I was like, well, yeah, but they've changed the definition to say we're not in a recession, so it doesn't really matter. And then he said well, we've had positive growth the past 2 quarters. It's irrelevant.
yeah. And positive growth for who? That's the other thing. I
Yeah.
gotta like stress this out enough. And this is why I think that shareholder economics really boiled people's
Well,
brains
it's not even
alive.
that. It's not even that. Okay, yes,
Like,
the economy is growing. Okay, compared to what? Compared to when it dropped for
yeah.
4 or 5 consecutive quarters. Yeah, of course it's going to go back up, but it doesn't mean anything. Auto workers are striking now. Motherfucking
And
the VFX
Kaiser's
writers
almost
voted to unionize. Like,
Kaiser's gonna strike soon. Like
they
here's
strike
another
all the
thing.
time too. But
But here's the thing though. Like the general strike doesn't happen like with pre-planned, right? A general strike happens when all these people like start striking at the same time because they're all stressed out and they don't want to go to work anymore.
well,
That's like the
yeah,
fuck. That's like the problem. Like,
bro. And I see this. I see this on a personal level. Not me, but
mm,
someone I'm very very close to is at a breaking point. Like
yeah.
not financially. Like for them,
But
it's not about finances at all. Like they'd rather like I'm not gonna say who it is, but like I've been told by this person like sometimes they'd rather die than go to work
yeah, because work
because
is growing.
yeah,
And it's another thing is like, I don't know. This is just me being like woke as fuck for a second, but like the whole 9 to 5 thing is still kind of an experiment, you know? Like it really is. It didn't start until the 60s or 70s, and that's barely what 70. We're only like 70 or 80 years now in this experiment, and I think it really started to show that it stresses people out over time in major ways. Like it really,
Well,
like,
yeah, and the fact
I
that
think,
like this is a conversation that would take hours to really sift through.
yeah. And dear viewer, we do know we're supposed to talk about nerd stuff at some point, so we'll,
Yeah,
we'll get there eventually. But I don't know. Me and Cage here are just catching up on like and bitching and moaning,
yeah,
just going belly aching because this is that problem. Like I was thinking about this on the way home in the car. When I was thinking about like these dogs and all this kind of stuff. Like I feel so helpless. Like what I can't like I looked. I was walking today and I was bringing in some donations that a very nice old lady donated a dog sweater to animal shelter because she just doesn't have room for it. And I'm like, yeah, thank you so much, blah, 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 being really kind and nice. When I walked in, I read the plaque on the wall that says like, this animal shelter is possible because of like, it's got the council member's name on it, right?
yeah,
And he was a council member of Antioch from like the 80s into like about the late 90s, right? And like, his crowning achievement was like, getting that animal shelter like placed there and like having it staffed and having that so that the city of Antioch has like an animal shelter that's able to respond to the needs of the people that live there. And like I can just only think now, like to get on like city council now is just a monumental task for any city. It's like the amount of hoops and everything, and that's it's the feeling of helplessness I think that's present with a lot of people these days and how hard it is and how much work has to go into changing simple things like if I wanted because obviously there is a need for Brentwood, a city of almost 100,000 people now to like get an animal shelter, and to think about how much people would fight against it is wild.
yeah,
And it makes you feel so helpless. Like, there's nothing really you can really do to change anything right now. Like, and when you turn on the news and see all these old people that are in charge and have all their hands on the freaking levers of power, and they haven't changed in the last 4 years, I think that just compounds that feeling of helplessness that it's really just a lot of people like, me. Unfortunately, I've had some things happen in my life where, I've felt helpless before because of power being robbed from me as a child, but we don't have to get into that. But saying like,
yeah,
some people just can't. They're such A-type personalities that have never really experienced any major trauma, but it's like living in this society as it is right now is almost a traumatizing experience because there's so much screwbally shit that's wrong. Like you have to walk past an army of homeless people just to go to McDonald's. I have to drive past an army of homeless people every time I go to the animal shelter because the Antioch River is just starting to flood with like tents everywhere.
oh,
And
bro, oh,
nothing cha and
it,
nothing's changing. Like it's been like this way for like 13 years now, and nothing is getting fixed or solved or resolving itself. And like you just feel and you just feel like the entire time like you're getting poorer and everything's getting more expensive. And then you go on social media and you see how great these rich people have it, and then it just again makes you feel like shit.
yeah. I mean, this is something that I even I recorded a podcast for like my other.
Sorry, hella edgy by the way. I know I'm being edgy as
No,
fuck
that's all
right
right.
now,
I
but
recorded a podcast like for my other podcast I do called Life Serial, but I don't really do it very often. And like it was supposed to be about finding motivation, and like I recorded this whole fucking podcast, and then I was done with it. And I was like, bro, I'm not gonna release that. Like, I, it's like it doesn't speak to anybody. Like because it doesn't matter. Like there are ways to find motivation when things are tough and things like that. Like there's little
Mhm.
things you can do to help you here or there, like little goals you can set to like help you along. But like that none of that matters. Like because the majority of people like they don't need motivation. Like their motivation is just survival right now. And then the
Yeah,
people who do need the
exactly.
motivation, like it's beyond that, I think. So
There's also like another dangerous kind of motivation that's going on, which is something that's very, very present, which I think again is just I don't know how else to sugarcoat this, but the signs of a collapsing society is it like there's so many people like just with such a fuck it, I don't give a shit anymore, maxing out their credit cards to go on vacation and just do the most unhinged things. Like I think
yeah,
that's like
I
that.
know people like that.
Yeah, I try not to do
But
it. I
it's
do it
to
sometimes.
uphold a lifestyle as well.
Exactly. And and
And
uphold like
I'm a
yeah,
completely against it, and it causes problems too. Like for me, like it can cause problems because I don't believe in doing that. I believe in living within your means, and
yeah,
like the more debt you have, the harder every month is to just survive.
yeah,
Like,
exactly.
but it's tough. It's tough. Luckily, I think I've been pretty smart with my money
Yeah,
in the past couple years, so like I'm not personally struggling, but like I could be very soon. Like you never know,
yeah,
right? So
yeah. Yeah, like your car, you never know when your car's gonna flip and like, or wheel blows out and goes into someone else's car. That's another thing. That's the whole talk about car culture in this
Yeah.
country. Like that's but but I understand it too. Like, I understand like, that kind of just collapse mentality of like, okay, like all the things you talked about. I work hard, I have a job, I can't afford a house.
Well,
I have an important position at my job, like, and I got married. I can't afford a house. Like, I want to start a family. Like, obviously different people have different goals. Like, all these things, like when they start like just eking into your mind, different people respond differently.
not even that, right?
Some people shut down and they don't talk to others. Others spend a lot. You know?
Think about how life is framed, right, from the very beginning.
Yeah.
Like we're taught at a very young age
That this is the
that,
greatest country in the world.
well, that too, but we're taught if you do the right things, you get
Mhm.
rewarded. And it's built into our education system. You get on the honor roll for getting good grades. You get promoted to high school. You graduate. You get your degree. You go to college. You do all the right things. You get your college degree. Right. That's how we're taught. It's all reward based. Right. Then you work hard. You make money. You get promotions, and you keep doing all the right things. Life will pan out fine for you. And then one day you realize that's not how it works. One day you
Yeah.
realize that no matter how hard you work, no matter how many of the right decisions you make, sometimes life is just fucking garbage.
Yeah.
And you're not going to be able to get all the things you want. You're not going to be able to live the lifestyle you want. And it doesn't matter that you do all the right things, right?
Mm.
And some people, when they realize that, they crumble. They give up. Other people, when they realize that, they ignore it and they say, "Well, I'm not working hard enough. Apparently, I need to go get another job. I need to be working 18 hours a day. I need to be doing this and this and this." Right? Like there's so many different people who react to things differently, and it's really hard. And that's why I didn't release that podcast, because I got to this point where I thought, and I said, as I was talking about it, I was like, well, like what can I even say, right, to help anybody or to inspire anybody? Because like at the end of it, you just kind of realize that life is bad sometimes, and there's nothing you can do about it, and that's really hard. That's something that's really difficult to come to terms with. So anyway, um, I'm gonna say rants over. Rants over. We'll move on as soon as Chair comes back. We'll move on to Ahsoka. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna release this as its own episode of just like non-nerd related
Sorry, I'm
audio
back.
talk, and then I'll release the second one. So
Yeah, that's probably a good idea. Do you want to contribute any more to the emotions? All I can say is like just is like, different people respond to just extreme stressors differently. And right now, unfortunately, our society, it just seems like it's founded on stressing yourself out to get ahead. That just seems like what it comes down to at the end of the day. And I feel like younger people kind of want a new way of doing things. Like, maybe a 4-day work week is not something I would like, a lot of people when you hear 4-day work week, they like scoff and like, fucking scream dead top of their lungs. I don't think that's out of the picture. I think there's a lot of ways to deal with this. And again, because our leaders are so old, you can't even trust them. I don't know. Would you let Nancy Pelosi drive you in a car?
no,
Okay, so yeah, okay. So when you have people like that and they're in charge and they still don't understand what the internet is and they need their assistants to send out emails for them. And again, like, there's some people, unfortunately, like, when they tell me they don't understand tech works and I don't want to, I say, well, you might as well just walk up to me and say you don't want to read or write. So then
yeah,
I'll just leave that at that. And it's just rough right now. And everywhere you look, you just get stressed out. Everywhere, like, when you go to the places you're supposed to not be stressed out, like when you go to Taco Bell, and you look at that silhouette of that freaking order board with its backlit lighting, and you see all this unhealthy stuff but you're about to shove in your body, and it's been chemically freaking engineered to taste good. And and then one of the best parts about it, you look next to it and you see something. It says 98 cents. And you're like, oh my fucking God, I'm gonna fucking destroy my lower. That's holy shit. And now you can't do that anymore because now you see, like in your case, $2.75, which is not okay. And it just sucks. And it just keeps getting worse. Like again, this is another thing. It feels like it keeps getting worse. And it doesn't like it's hard to see how we turn around from this and just put things in a positive direction, like even from a very rational standpoint. to bum everything out or everything, but I'm already in a bummed out mood, so probably shouldn't have started me down this dark path, but here we are. So,
Yeah, no, it's all right.
yeah.
But anyway, yeah, we'll talk about Ahsoka.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stop the recording so I can just upload this as a separate podcast, and
Yeah.
then